Advocate Zikalar, the senior counsel has requested to be released, and he said yourself and Advocate Mkhwanazi are here. I have given him that permission to leave due to pressing commitments that he must attend to. Honorable members were taking 1 hour 20 minutes until 9:20 with the DA, and then after the DA is the IFP and Honorable James, 1 hour 20 minutes. Your time starts now, Honorable Cameron and Honorable Chopper.
Can I be released, Chair? I'm asking a permission to be released.
I have spoken to you, and you and I have agreed that you want to go back home tomorrow. And so I want to help you to go home tomorrow on time. Honorable...
you said, Honorable James, how many? 1 hour?
No, Honorable James and Honorable Mwango, they will spend 1 hour 20 minutes.
All together?
Yes.
Oh.
That's how we do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Honorable Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. Former Minister, I heard you said, can you be released? But no one's told anyone to shut up tonight. So we're all in good company. No, Mr. Cele, thank you for your patience today. I was saying to one of the journalists outside that from almost all the people that have spoken tonight or throughout this ad hoc committee, you've been very forthcoming with answers. There was no shying away from things, so I must applaud you for that. I have a few questions of clarity in between, but here and there are some new ones that will also come in. The first one that I would like to ask you is that in your statement, you characterize most of the allegations that have been made against you as being politically motivated. It feels to be a standard defense whenever allegations involve your conduct, and I don't say that in a sarcastic way. Everyone is welcome. I don't say that in a sarcastic way, but it does seem throughout this ad hoc committee process that every time we question someone's conduct, it's either because of some kind of a political motive or it's some kind of a vendetta. You referred to yourself as proud of your legacy in SAPS, but respectfully, you were dismissed for misconduct by the President. So I want to ask with my first question, how do you reconcile that pride with being fired for maladministration?
So can I answer now, Chair? But Honorable Cameron, we are not finishing the story. That I was fired by the President and reinstated by the Court of Law. I was brought back by the Court of Law, not by the Commission, by the judge.
But that's not true. You weren't brought back by SAPS. You never entered again as the Commissioner.
Come again?
You didn't continue to be the National Commissioner, did you?
No. No, it's not true that is not true.
No, it's true that that's not true.
No. How can... I was a minister when the court decided. I was a minister when court decided, so I could not go to be the National Commissioner. I would have loved to. It's more nicer to be National Commissioner than the minister. The National Commissioners have more powers, by the way, than the ministers. So I would, but by then, the other thing that I have agreed to do is that that because I'm working, there should be no reinstatement as a national commissioner. Now I'm a minister. The second one that I agreed upon is that I would not call for the money of the year, 2 years that I lost when I was not working. But the court reversed the finding of Judge Mloyi and said I can go back as a national commissioner. It was out of me to stay as a minister and the president.
Honorable Malema.
So the word you are looking for, Minister, is that you were cleared by the court, not reinstated by the court.
Maybe it's in English.
Yes.
Yeah, but,
And,
I was cleared by.
Yeah.
But after cleared by, I could have gone back to my work. After cleared, but I chose to stay as an executing authority rather than accounting officer. But I was cleared by the court.
I want to then move to the relationship with Mr. Kat Matlala. I know we've touched on it a lot today. You described him as an acquaintance, yet you accepted the use of his penthouse, and you called him over 10 times in a day. I know it wasn't frantic, as you explained. Is that how you normally treat acquaintances? And the reason I ask that to you is that I struggle to see how most of us, I think, would go and stay in someone's home that we don't actually know, that we've just met, that we're not close to in any way.
What's the question? Is there acquaintance or how did I stay in the house?
I said, is that how you normally treat acquaintances? Do you stay in random people's houses?
No. Well, you also add the 10 times. I did say I phoned the journalist about the story 10 times. So it's not...
No, but I'm asking you a question about acquaintances.
No, I'm coming
former
on
minister.
that.
Yeah, but you don't have to question me.
No, I'm not. I'm answering to say
Okay.
it's not something abnormal to phone somebody 10 times, including the journalist that you are not an acquaintance with. The difference is that the journalist does not write about himself that he has been phoned 10 times. That's that. It's not because the acquaintance that I slept in the house. It's because it was a free piece. And I'm not working, I'm a pensioner. So here is it's a nice place, by the way. It's a free piece, so I sleep. I'm not in government. I'm not going to declare. I guess if I were in government, I would have gone and declared, but now I sleep, I wake up, I go home.
So if, let's call someone like Ralph Stanfield said to you, go and stay in my house in Constantia for free.
Who is that?
You know exactly who it is.
Stanfield?
Yeah.
I don't know him.
You know him. You spoke about him in the media several times.
I've heard of him, I don't know him. I've seen Matlala, I didn't hear about him only.
No, but you're playing with words now. The point is, if he comes to you, you're an acquaintance, and he says to you, you can stay in my house, would you do it?
Chairperson, I'm sorry, it's his time to tell me to shut up this time. So I'm not playing with words, I'm giving an answer. I'm giving an answer. I'm not playing with words. So maybe playing with words, I'm talking the wrong English, and I don't hope to move to Zulu so that I speak straight. But I'm explaining to say, having met you and having read about you are two different things. I've met Matala. I've read about this guy's stain and all that. So I don't know him as I would know a person. Even once, it does make a difference. That's why I know you, even then and also. I'm not playing with the words. I'm really trying to explain. If you feel I'm playing with the word, with words, I hope I'll speak better so that what I'm saying is clear, Honourable Member.
Me too. I don't mean disrespect with the playing of words. You must understand it's Thursday, so my English is finished by now. By tomorrow, I'll be almost 100% Afrikaans. So I think both of us will need to hang in there. Let me make it clearer. If you knew Ralph Stanfield, So if you knew him on the same basis that you knew Kat Matlala, would you go and stay in his house if he said you can live in my house or stay in my house for free when you come to Cape Town?
It will depend on circumstances, how I know him, and where and what I'm doing at the time. For instance, if I was a minister with Matlala, I would not have stayed in his house. If I did, I would have declared. So it's circumstances and conditions that informs the decision that you take in that particular time.
Thank you. My next question, I guess, is the reverse, and that is, would you allow someone that you met once or twice to stay in your house when you're not there?
In my house, if I'm not there and there is nobody else in that house,
Well, you could be there as well. It depends, I guess, how much you like them when you met them once or twice.
I would.
You would. Okay. You say he's not a business partner. So I want to understand, and I know it was said earlier, but that's where the language barrier came in. I didn't understand everything that Honorable Shongwe asked, so I might be repeating something. You specifically said earlier that you didn't pay for any of these. It was free accommodation, correct? Have you ever had any other business dealings or any kind of financial interest with Mr. Matlala?
Zero, nothing.
Zero, okay. You claim that you didn't know about the criminal allegations or any of the tender controversies regarding Mr. Matlala. But I want to ask you, as being the former police minister, is there no kind of due diligence? The reason I ask this as well, it links to what I asked General Sabia last week, is that surely before you meet with someone, whether you're in office or not, that experience that you built up over the years with contact in the criminal justice system, surely you do some kind of due diligence.
That is what you call political interference. If, as a minister, you want to know intelligence matters are not for ministers, are for operatives. Because intelligence run programs. They might be running a program about you as a minister. So we have no business. It's a clear operational matter. Unless they come to you and it's got some political issues that you need to communicate as a minister. But that's why they don't intelligence people, they don't report mostly to ministers. They report it to National Commissioner. One other person that they can report to is a president, than the minister.
So I want to understand this because from my point of view, by that time, if we look at specifically at Kat Matlala, I mean, it's not political interference to use Google. He was all over there. If you look at, for example, maybe I shouldn't use News 24 as an example because it was clear to me earlier that there was discomfort with some of the things that they wrote. But just on that platform, Mr. Matlala had been there a lot. Do you not check who you meet with? Is there, and there are many ways of doing that without interfering in any form of legislative interference. I mean, let's use Facebook as a silly example.
When I was a minister, my support staff, sometimes they would meet. I mean, they would check for me before I meet for the personal safety and other things. But for now, I check nobody. I meet whoever wants to meet me. I'm a free agent. I'm a free South African. If you want to meet me after this, we can meet.
No, I'm all right. Okay. That sounds bad. I don't mean it that way. We can maybe have a coffee tomorrow.
Actually, we own one meeting and to be more civil to one another, you and me.
Yeah.
It could not be now, but some other time.
No, but I think, and we spoke quite a bit today, so
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason for hostility.
Okay.
I'm going to stick to the Kat Matlala discussion a little bit more, and this touches again on what the discussion held with General Sabia last week. The reason why I keep on asking the questions regarding association is that here we have someone who's the former Minister of Police, or I'm not comparing you directly to General Sabia, I'm just showing how the questions are similar. And we have a General Sabia who is the Deputy National Commissioner of the South African Police Service, yet he has these brief breakfasts with Brown Mkhwanazi and maybe touches a bit on Kat Motlala and so on. Does that association not bother you in any way? Is it not problematic to you, or and I mean, you can say we're allowed to agree to disagree. Does it not bother you to have that association?
Honorable Cameron, there's a huge difference between the police and the Minister of Police in terms of operational matters. Worse for a person who's responsible for detectives and intelligence. The question, I was taken aback, and I must say here, I do not believe that he did not know things about Kat at that level and that position. If it's true that he didn't know anything, it does not deserve to bear the job. It does not. Because he's the last line of defense, really. From him and his information, that information must be operationalized. If it is not known there, nothing right will be done by the people that are on operations. For him to say so, I was taken aback, and I said, that can't be.
It's a fair answer. Your personal relationship with Mr. Motlala, or your relationship with Mr. Motlala, did you, and this is just for the record, did you in any way ever participate or influence or advise on any of the decisions or the processes relating to the 360 million rand Medicare 24 contract or any other related procurement in SAPS?
I did not even know about this 360 until I read about it, as it was compared and exposed that is the same person of Tembisa. So I didn't even know. So I had no access to it, so I could not have influenced him when I did not even know about the processes. By the way, it's generic, honorable member, that ministers don't know. Officially should be so. I would not but stand here and say all of us we don't know. But the generic ministers should not know about supply chain management issues.
Then I want to move to just something that I want clarity on regarding your communication with General Mkhwanazi. Is it true that General Mkhwanazi didn't take any calls from you since the Major General Khumalo matter, and that PSS Brigadier Shabalala, you know Brigadier Shabalala knows this, and that you started talking again after you approached General Mkhwanazi at a car wash in Durban later on in the year?
It's true. It's true that for some time we did not talk, but I did not know that it was because of General Khumalo. And unfortunately, I did not either take it as malicious that we are not talking as issue. Okay. Until, by the way, it's him who sent Shabalala, Brigadier Shabalala, to find out and erase the issues that there were problem. So in the car wash, we spoke, but it would be rich to say I approached him. We're both in the car wash. So we approached the car wash, and then we spoke at the car wash.
Maybe that's where we should have our cordial discussion next time, is at the car wash.
And now it sounds like I ran to the car wash to approach him. No, we met it. And we spoke at length, by the way, until we were told to move our cars from the bay because we were blocking. We spoke for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to go to a question, and I know you said were not directly involved with procurement matters. This touches on questions that I asked Minister Mkhwanazi yesterday. Did you know about the fact that the supply chain management head, or Lieutenant General Fani, who came from National Treasury, had a questionable background with regards to his appointment? It's a double-barrel question. I want to know, were you aware of the SIU report that implicated General Fani, amongst others, before you left office?
General Fani, I think, is a lieutenant general.
Correct.
He's a TTG. It's the same argument I've raised, Honorable Member, that I have a problem with appointment of DDGs. Because those that are appointed, they are checked and checked thoroughly. But if Fani comes, General Fani and the other Fani, Masimula, they just meet and they employ one another, you wouldn't. That's that. One would not know the thing. But worse with him, because he comes from treasurer, you would expect people coming from treasurer to be clean and schoon. So you would not really expect that there is a problem when they come from that department, when they come from treasurer. So I didn't know anything about his shenanigans.
Did you know anything about the SIU report once that was? I'm aware that I think it was presented to legal services, but did you know anything about the SIU report?
No, I didn't.
Not. I want to move to the next few questions. I want to touch on the KZN matters. Just in terms of communication, did you have any form of private communication with General Mkhwanazi before his 6 July press briefing?
Private communication?
Any communication. It doesn't necessarily have to be private. Maybe at the car wash.
I think I would. Honorable Member, especially that province, there are a lot of problems that people, they still phone me like nobody's business. I say, but I'm not the minister. They say, but you know what to do. Most of the time, if I'm phoned about the particular matter, then I'll phone two people. Rather than going to the station, junior members, I usually phone two people there. Makoba, who's a deputy to Mkhwanazi, or Mkhwanazi. So I can't remember. But mostly it would be on those matters rather than before, when I would pick up the phone and say, can you do this? Can you do this? But the other thing I want to tell you, Mkhwanazi, there is no provincial commissioner that I've communicated more than Mkhwanazi, because we are there, but they are there. But what I have made a habit is that he must also report, or I will report to the national commissioner that we have communicated. For instance, you would see me in many operations there. You remember when the big bust of drugs at the port and all that. I don't know what you know, but I would not hear from somewhere else that there's that bust. General Mkhwanazi would tell me, and I'll go there. When police are killed, NIU member Mazibuko, when he was killed, I was on the crime scene. Fortunately, I was just landing in Durban when he phoned me. I said, I'm in Durban. He said, to come and all that. So, but most of the time, if not all the time, we would manage to say to the national commissioner, we are communicating, because I did not encourage this thing of people bypassing the national commission coming to the minister.
Just a question of clarity regarding Mr. Maumela. You mentioned that you met Mr. Matlala, the property that you later found out belonged to Mr. Maumela. We know that he's linked to the whole Tembisa hospital fraud scandal. And I want to ask you, and I think I know what you're going to answer, but as someone who's experienced or trained to a certain extent, you've had years of experience in contact with the criminal justice system. You said that you didn't know whose residence it was. How is it normal for you to visit houses of people that you don't know who it belongs to? I'm trying to put this in layman terms where I don't imagine just going to someone's house whom I don't know who it is. I'm struggling with this association with certain controversial figures.
Well, you argue that I'm trained. I'm not just having the experience. I'm trained on the military combat work. And that is intelligence on the work that I used to do. But if somebody says to me, meet to Hamilton Road, number 212, I'm not going to ask whose house is that.
But that one's named after you.
No, I'm making an example. So I'm not going to ask, why do we meet in that particular house? I'll just go to that house and I appreciate that this is a good house. And as I said, I thought I didn't even think that was somebody else. I thought it was his house, of which he confirmed that he had 2 houses at Zimbabwe. That was one of them. But I have met people in many ways, maybe coming from my days of underground, honorable member. So you'll be given an address that meets somewhere there, and you go and meet there. Sometimes you realize that it's a dangerous place and all that kind of stuff. So I really don't take it as essential if Honorable in Cameron phones to say we meet at Cameron Street, number 222. I will ask him, whose house is that you are meeting? And you tell me, and then I will come. No, we just go and I have met people there, including the king, by the way. I have met the king there. I was given the address at Zimbabwe, given the code, open and go there. I did not even ask. I know that the king doesn't have the house at Zimbabwe, but I was not going to ask the king, Igwabanda. So whose house is this? But these things happen.
I want to move to your relationship with Mr. Timmy Marimutu. Do you know Mr. Marimutu?
Very well.
So you've obviously met with him, spoken with him, communicated with him. What's the nature of your relationship with Mr. Marimutu?
Mr. Marimutu used to be a police officer, I'm told, arrested for drug issues, I'm told. But when I went for transport, I found him at the transport department doing some work. He was specializing on the rural access roads with his contract. That's how I began to know him, that we're working on transport matters. So the talk will be around that. But at the later stage, I did realize that he was quite close with intelligence people. How I did know that is that my relationship was really on a hard rock with Mdluli. And he spoke to me and organized the meeting between me and Mdluli. So I realized that this guy is not an ordinary contract guy. He must be having some. But at the later stage, there was that accusation, which they put me on, of which I did not know, that he has put his relatives, most of them, in the crime in intelligence, of which Mdluli signed. So that's a kind of talking, and that's a kind of relationship that I would have with him.
And do you still speak frequently, or is that in the past?
I think it would be more than 2 years that we haven't spoken.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, you touched on the appointments in crime intelligence, but Were you also aware of the Hawks investigation regarding allegations of human trafficking and or trafficking specifically for sex allegations linked to Mr. Marimutu's family? And you've already said that you knew about his connection with crime intelligence.
That information I've only got it from the papers, from the newspapers, but I'm aware through reading it.
I want to then understand, and we did touch on the taxi industry. So I'm not going to go into the taxi industry now. I think we've covered a lot of that. I want to understand, during your time as police minister, what safeguards did you implement to ensure that you were not exposed to proximity risks or conflicts when interacting with figures from the taxi industry, dangerous figures? Did you put certain mechanisms in place?
Well, besides having protectors, there is no special mechanism that I'll put. Mr. Honorable Member Cameron, that's a dangerous world. A dangerous world.
Which one?
The taxi industry. It's a dangerous world. Too many people we have lost there. People die there. As I was saying, you sit here, I talk with you like this, and the next day, you are gone. Whenever you get involved on it, you must have a little bit of a prayer, because yourself, you don't know what next will happen. Again, going back to General Mkhwanazi, well, he spoke about the Katomena team. For some reasons, I love police, and I don't know how I fall in love with them, because I was one person that was messed up by the police. I was messed up big time. One person that I didn't like in life, big time, is General Poison. I didn't like that man. When he came to investigate the murder, massacre of Shoba, I chased him away. And then they sent Pushy Engelberg. I don't know if you know Pushy Engelberg. I chased him away until the minister, then Mafumati, spoke to me that, you know what, you go investigate this thing yourself. Because I was chasing everybody away as this person, as an activist. I must be careful again with the word activist. It gave some trouble here. So, as an activist, I had a problem. Until Bush was allowed, I don't think there is a police officer I like Bush Engelberg today. The job he did. But slowly but surely, human beings are dynamic things. You get to know one another and all. One person that were close and friends today is Poison. Is Poison. We're fine, we're good and all that. One other thing that put us together was to work on the taxi industry. Because that unit of his, even today, taxi industry people themselves, they still complain. Why don't, they are called Kito. Kito is the Zulu word coming from Kato crest. They ask, why don't you bring them back and fix the thing? So the one major thing happened, there was the killing of Colonel Kongo. One good human being and good police was shot and killed by the taxi industry. I was mad. Poison was mad. Poison did not arrest anybody. Anybody that did thing to Kongo was permanently arrested. So they put so much effort. At one time, the cash heist was zero in KZN. Zero. I mean zero, because of that unit. Whoever killed that unit is guilty of increasing the crime in South Africa and in that province. That's how I forever look at it. And the reason why Mkhwanazi and Mthethwa, they took that path of killing that thing, I don't know. But what I knew is that Mthethwa was may his soul rest in peace. Mthethwa was on this thing of reversing things that have been done and working. It was not only him reversing things, it was with his president. He's the president of one organization today. But he was with his president to reverse things. You know, we built a solid police. As your chair, you go and check your crime stats, Honorable. I'm sure you have checked your crime stats. Yeah. Look at 2009, look at 2010, look at 2011. From 2012, it was a concord.
It shot up.
Was a concord up to this point. You know why they were concord sometimes? Because all structures were dismantled. The management that was found there was dismantled. Could not be Mkhwanazi on this one. But RIA gave the man the bells. Give the man the bells for the destruction she caused in the South African police. Give the man the bells.
I want to understand, and just briefly, what was that destruction? You've touched on it a little bit, and I didn't even write this down, but in your opinion, what was that destruction that Ria Piecha caused?
Destruction?
Yeah.
First thing, everybody that I worked with dispersed him. It took Masimula to Limpopo as a deputy. It took Mkhwanazi, highly decorated, because people, they think I can change. It's a fact that Mkhwanazi is highly decorated. Took Mkhwanazi and told him to guard the buildings. Mkhwanazi was guarding the buildings, property, the offices. This, you know, there is a competition of the special forces that usually takes place at a place called Dubai. At one time when Mkhwanazi was there, it took place in France. The Special Task Force of South Africa was number 4 in the world. We were number 4. Under Ria Piecha, we were number 40. She added 0.
I'm trying to be serious here. You're making it very
I am
difficult.
serious. I am serious. We're number 40. Last time there, I was invited. I was invited to go and receive the award for them. I think they were number 14. So I can't receive the number 14 award. But in France, I did go and I received the number 4 in the world. In the world. So that thing went down. But the real mess that she did, was to kill the TROT, Technical Response Team. You know, just a little bit of a minute how it started about. People, they call it Bheki's police, Cele's police. I don't know why they don't call other units about people that they started. When I joined the police, honorable member, in Pretoria, the 3rd day, there was a cash heist in the city of Tshwane. As I came there, 2 police were shot and killed from local station. And I found Mercedes-Benz C-Class, I don't know if it is an advert, C-Class and GTI, and those were getaway cars for the criminals. Police came in a Corona, 1.3. I said, even if they find these guys on the scene and chase them much, what is this 6 class 2-8? And then I said, from now on, 2 things we're going to do. We're going to buy police cars. The GTI, the police, and the BMWs came that time. That's when we bought GTI in the police. That's why every police drives GTI today. and Focus and all that. But the other problem that you had, these elite units, 2 of them, that's your Special Force and NIU, were geographically placed. They were only in Gauteng, KZN, Eastern Cape, and Western Cape. So other provinces didn't have them. So the TRT was built for them to hold the fort as we were waiting for these guys. But TRT did not hold the fort, they did the job. TRT moored the Kesha's guys. They moored them goed. Now, that was the first one. The second one of their job, that time we had cluster. I know you have had interest in the police. We have cluster policing, where 5 stations to 7 will be together. We said every station will have about 10 members of the TRT, Amaperet. So if there is an incident there, they will converge and respond. But if not, they will patrol their precincts. That's why crime like pickpocketing, crime like housebreaking, because those guys, they saturated and took over policing every street, every township. Even today, if you move around here, people are asking, where are the pirates? Ask Ria, Pierre, where are they? As she come, it dismantles them. It took their cars, it took a veto that they were using and give it to the police, to the station commander. How do you take a veto and give it to the station commander to go and buy milk? So that's it. But one other thing is to displace people. Your Hawks, Dramat was taken away from there. Everybody was taken away from there and all that. So it was a systematic kind of dismantlement. But the big one, the numbers were allowed of the police to dwindle from 195,000 to the population of 50 million, dwindled to 187 to the population of 62 million. Hence, we had to really fight hard with the Cabinet 6th to say, Mr. President and Mr. Kotongan, give us some money. We managed to get the training of police 10,000 in the circle of 10, though we had a problem because the colleges were few to accommodate all these people. So we went to ask the accommodation from the army. They gave us their base in Kimberley and they charged us R1 billion for that. Sure. They charged us R1 billion. So we had to go to small numbers because we did not have R1 billion to pay for the army. But that was a big thing to dismantle. And as we came back, it took a lot to re-establish the police. I don't want to go much on that. But one other thing that we did was to create the Operation Chanela. Operation Chanela, I can explain about it and all that kind of thing. I hope it's coming back. But I must say, I am really sad. I think the working of the police has been really disturbed by this kind of a thing. It might take longer again to put the police in a fast lane.
I want to just move back slightly. Why do you think they closed Cato Manor, the squad?
Mkhwanazi is still there. Maybe when he comes back, ask him.
Okay. You mentioned earlier today that, we know about it, that there were members who tapped your communication. They listened to your calls. Do you know who those members are, and if so, are they still in the police?
You know, the other one who is Patayash or Peruman, the one who arrested Kumalo
From IDAC?
from IDAC, is one of them.
Sure.
That guy, 3 guys were arrested. I think one is Cele and can't remember, and Peruman. So they were made sacrificial land by Mutli.
So Moodley was also involved?
Hayi kancane, not small time, big time.
Yo.
Mutli.
Was, sorry I'm interrupting, I just want to get clarity. So Moodley, was Khan involved in any way?
No, I wouldn't tell if Kanye was. I don't have that information.
Okay.
But Mutli, yes. And then, who's this? Is Patayash or Peruman, this guy? He has been in crime intelligence. He has now moved to IDAC and is regarded as a top investigator. There are no investigators in CI. Since when he has become a top investigator? That he has, his first job is to arrest Kumalo after he has written a letter by Nkabinde. Because Kumalo was arrested after the letter has been written by Nkabinde. So where it has come from? But the other thing, the husband of the head of the IDAC works in the CI. And they're not friends with Kumalo. And they're not friends with Kumalo. And he works in the CI. That's my home girl, that is the head of what I would love to know, when this law came, you would know that there is a structure that oversees police, that is your iPad. You would know that there is a structure that oversees Hawks, that is a Hawks judge. Who oversees IDAC? Who oversees IDAC? Or are they law unto themselves? You can't have a powerful structure that does as its wishes and nobody looks after it. Hence, we have a judge that looks after the Hawks. That judge is there. You report to the judge, you go to IPID, either they work or what, they exist. I guess these lawyers sitting there, there can be a structure that you can take to them if they get out of way. There is a structure where you took Klope to, whether correct or incorrect, but where do you take IDAC? When they arrest somebody for hiring somebody, it's a disaster to have such a structure that nobody oversees it. Maybe the legislators can look at that as the time goes on.
What do you think, and this is also, I'm going off the list that I made today, but what do you think the reason is for that specific group targeting General Kumalo?
Ask Nkabinde. It's Nkabinde who wrote the letter there. I don't know if somebody sent it, but I'm told it was written by him to say act. So I don't know. I don't. But Auntie Mary has serious issues with Kumalo and Cele. I hope ITEC doesn't come to knocking my door again one day. But has a serious issue with Kumalo and all. But I don't have a reason why they would have a problem with Kumalo.
Honorable Ngola.
No, Chair, the General keeps on repeating a letter written by Nkabinde. Maybe if you can be clarified which letter is that, so that we're able to even check if it's part of the evidence that we have. Thank you.
No, it's not. It's not the part of the evidence, but there was a letter from him to IDEC to say IDEC must act on the crime intelligence people. Maybe at a certain given time, the letter could be found. I hope.
Thanks, General. Chair, because we're going to have IDEC, so I think let's just take it as it comes. We're going to pursue it. Thank you.
Honorable Cameron, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I've got one or two last questions. You mentioned, and this is, I might come back to crime intelligence again, but you mentioned earlier the Judge Tulare judgment when he spoke about the alleged infiltration of parts of the judiciary, etc., by certain gangs or criminal groupings. Why it feels there have been many calls regarding the Colonel Kinnear report, that there were very specific SAPS members implicated in that. Why is it that even during your time, many of those members are still in SAPS? What was the struggle? What went wrong after the Kinnear report was finalized?
You remember, or you were not here, Kenya report was finalized and classified. So ministers don't classify the reports. Reports are classified by those people who had those particular structures. I must agree. I don't think that Kenya really received a fair kind of process. I fully don't agree. So I always feel supportive to the wife when she's angry. And personally, I would say maybe all of us could have done much better to deal with the issue of the murder of one of the good cops that was dealing with that situation. And that's a part of what the judge says. But Western Cape is one of the area when it comes to policing, prosecution, by the way, that has been problematic. I'm sure you'll hear one day that there is an inquest. There is an inquest in the death of Moses Tembe's daughter. Honorable member, police did the investigation and they believed that that daughter was murdered. They believed. They went time and again to the prosecutor for the things to be enrolled. They would say, go back, dot the I's and cross the T's. Until they said, if you can't do it, give us a certificate. I went to the president personally. I said, Mr. President, your Minister of Police is going to do something funny. Is going to support the private prosecution. And the prosecutor refused to give certificate. So he can't prosecute, he can't give certificate. So you are stuck in the middle. But now I know that inquest, the magistrate that is there now is asking the question, why this thing was not enrolled, because it's an obvious case. You should ask the prosecutor that did not enroll it in this Western Cape.
Chair, I think that's an important note for us as an ad hoc committee. Is just regards to two things, and I'm sure former Minister Cele would agree. The integrated justice system, the fact that we don't have that yet. So very often the police get the blame for things that they shouldn't be getting the blame for. So we need that system to really pinpoint where the issues, the real issues are. That's the one thing. The second thing is I think something to zoom in on with all of this is to really sample where the prosecution crisis lies. Justice Chair can lead the way for us. He says he doesn't have much work, so he certainly can. Chair, that's it from me. No more questions. I'm glad we've ended this discussion better than we did previously. Thank you, Minister.
Okay, we'll see that at the later stage. But we won't go back there.
You must stay with that commitment. I can see that you are getting closer to each other. Honorable Thapa.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good evening, former Minister Cele. It's been a long day for you. I don't have a lot of time, so it won't be too long. I want to go back to Kat Mklala, because it seems with the interactions we've had over the past few days and what you read in the media and in the testimonies, it seems everybody had some interaction with him in some form, way or manner. The meeting that took place in December, where you had a meeting with Mr. Mklala, he told you that he had an SAPS tender and that he was willing to make false and criminal allegations against generals to protect his own interest. Did that not immediately raise red flags about his integrity?
Meeting of December?
Yes, you mentioned in 2024, December 2024.
So what happened with the tender?
He told you about it.
No.
In your
On that-
paragraph
on that meeting, we
71,
did
it
not
says
talk
he also
it.
expressed concern about being caught in the crossfire of brewing conflict within the police.
Yes.
And that he did not want to lose the health service tender awarded to him earlier that year.
Yes, he didn't, because he's put in conflict with the, in that
Correct,
context.
yes.
Yeah, in that context.
So
yeah,
that's where he
correct.
told you about the tender.
Yes.
All right. And my question is, did that not raise any red flags with you? Because he was telling you that he had a tender and that he was going to, or he made false allegations against generals to protect his own interest. Did that raise red
By
flags
then
to
I
you?
knew that he had a tender.
I believe so. That's in your discussion here on this meeting.
The same answer. My interest and my angle was not with Kat, it was with Khumalo.
I'll get to that, sir. But I'm asking you, did it raise any red flags to you that he was telling you this?
No.
Do you say you admitted, he admitted, to fabricating serious false allegations of theft and corruption against senior officers? I would go so far as to say your own people that you came along with in the police service. Why would you rely on a man who, by your own account, had just confessed to committing perjury and obstructing justice?
Rely on him on what?
Say again, sorry?
Rely on him on what?
Well, so you said you kept chatting with him, he kept speaking to you, even post this meeting. He brought information to you about the 2010 corruption.
I'm not relying on him, I see. I see the things that are sent to his cellular. I'm not, his message, I'm not relying on him. He shows me the thing that he's not supposed to have, that are sent by either the minister stroke Mkhwanazi in preparation. So I don't just hear him, I see it.
No, whether you see it or not is irrelevant. What I'm asking is that he raised serious red flags. The red flag that he raised, which I understand, is he told you that he committed perjury. He told you he was making false allegation against the police. You advised him that he needs to go speak, and the case was eventually either thrown out or settled out of court. That was what you said. So he's...
Are we talking about the same story?
Yes, it's on your section 72.
That he told me that he committed the perjury.
Well, he says to you that he was lying, he was going to make false allegations.
Did I say so?
It's in your testimony.
No. You didn't listen very well.
No, I'm reading your testimony.
I said he was pushed by Sibia to do that.
I understand. What I'm saying
don't.
is... I understand.
You absolutely don't.
No, so I do understand fully.
Him.
You are saying he was being forced to do it.
Exactly.
To protect his own interest. No, regardless of what his reasoning was to do it. He was doing it to protect his own interest, whether it was forced by Sabia, forced by whoever.
logic defeats me.
Honorable Klapper and General Cele, I request you to cool down.
Oh, no, sorry, Chair. My apologies. I
I just
no
want
intention.
just want to give you one moment to take a breath in and take Honorable Skosana and Honorable Maliam.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to get clarity from General Cele. Because earlier, General Cele said when they met at Beverly Hills Hotel, there was no discussion about the tender. He was never told about the tender. He was told about the issues of the problems within
The matter is not related to what Honorable Thopa is raising.
No. My follow-up meeting is what he responded about that. He asked him twice. That was the tender discussed in that meeting.
Okay.
So hence I'm saying, initially he said there was no tender. Kate never discussed any tender with him at all. So I wanted a clarity that on that day, did they discuss about the tender which he had, that Media 24 thing with the South African Police Service? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, I've said it time and again to say he realized that he was being played and did not want to be in conflict with the police because he has just had the tender contract with the police. So he did not want to fight the police, especially on the false pretense that Khumalo must be arrested after he has been told by Sibia what to write so that it implicates Khumalo. I'm saying it's the same answer. There was never a time when he sat down and write the statement against Khumalo. Sibia, according to him, comes to him to say, look, let's implicate Khumalo on this one. Add that it was not just the raid, but they have stolen. So then it doesn't become the liquor raid, even if you have a warrant. You can't take the watches and all that kind of thing. So for me, that he committed perjury, and him being this powerful police telling him what to do is completely two different things.
Thank you, Chair. Can I proceed?
Are you
I'm fine, Chair. My time will come. Thank you.
Let's go to Honorable Maliam.
Minister, I understand now you've got this information, like he's saying, you've got this information about Cat that he does tenders and then he wants to serve his own interest by giving information and all of that. Then the question is, why do you keep this person close to you when you know he's got this many other issues? Now you are aware. So my understanding is that you kept this guy close to you because you were sucking as much information as possible from this guy, because he was showing you information, not just telling you, showing things that are being planned about Khumalo, are being planned about you, and all of that. Even if he's got these other things, but for as long as he's giving you this useful information, you kept him close so that you can get as much information as possible.
I was not going to let him go with information.
Thank you so much. Honorable Thopa.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Please proceed.
I will proceed. And apologies, was no heated moment. I think I just speak loud on this mic.
No, it is human, don't worry.
Thank you, Chair. Well, you basically answered the next question, sir, because I wanted to ask, wouldn't that make him a potential criminal collaborator rather than a reliable source? But you said you would keep him around for that information. So, despite all of this, you've stayed overnight at his penthouse. And I will move on to the next line of questioning because I understand where you're coming from and what you've explained, and I don't think there's need to further press on the issue. I would like to find out, when you left office in June 2024, was the PKTT funded? Was it funded? Was it properly funded?
Well, Commissioner can answer that better, because the funding of operations and all that is not the ministerial issue, it's an issue of the accounting officer.
I understand that Minister Mchunu had claimed that the PMFI was breached because the extension of the PKTT was never granted, and if I understand your version correctly, you say that is not the case.
Well, he's lucky to know that.
Pardon me?
He's lucky to know that. What I know is that the life of political killing task team was continuing, and I know that there was money requested and the less money was given with the advice of the CFO. But remember, in companies, there is a CFO and there is an accounting officer. At the end of the day, the rest of it doesn't lie with the CFO. It lies with an accounting officer. If the accounting officer sees the matter that should continue, we'll sit down, and I'm very sure that the accounting officer, who happened to be a commissioner, they did talk with the CFO. I don't know who briefed the minister about the concerns of the CFO, but it does look like there was this bypassing of the national commissioner, and the deputies and the lieutenant generals briefing, instead of going to the commissioner and the commissioner going to the minister.
Thank you. You mentioned that you had a meeting on the 5th of September 2023. Were these formal meetings, or this was a formal meeting?
5th, not 4th, 5th.
I think 5th of September, yes, 2023.
There was a minister there of Justice and Correctional Service. There was a deputy minister of the police. There was minister. Definitely that's formal. We could not have met for tea there.
And
was this meeting in Durban from Pretoria?
Was the PKTT an extension, the extension of it, a formal item on the agenda for the day?
Well, the interministerial on this matter could not have met without discussing the activities of the PKTT.
And it must continue as one of the resolutions that you took. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And these minutes to these meetings?
They are meeting. Minutes.
Are they attached to this one?
I don't know, but they can be found. They can be found. I think even myself, I have them.
I just want to find out by you, and it's. I just want to find out what is your understanding and your version. There's many scenarios that have been impressed on us, and I want to find out, do you think that this is an operational transition gone wrong? Do you believe that the disbandment had to do with financial irregularity cleanups? Was the disbandment political in nature? And if it was none of these, what's your opinion? What do you think it was?
Well, finances, I'm totally literate. The Auditor General will help us there. I know nothing about finances. What I know is that this structure had to save lives that were lost because of the political office across the board. There are quite number of councillors that were killed. I have mentioned that from ANC, from IFP, from NFP, from ACDP, from DA, and from EFF. So then you are putting the stop on the thing. But not only that, you must also put the stability so that there is no reversal on that kind of thing. For me, if you ask me, I would not have dissolved it. Even if I had any wish of dissolving it, I would have followed the steps that we have followed to establish it. One, why so many steps to establish it and no steps to disestablish it? For me, that would be a question. If that is illegal or unlawful, I don't know. But is it correct? No, it's wrong.
Minister Mkhwanazi is your predecessor. He took over from you in 2024. And when you were speaking earlier, if I understood you correctly, Minister Mkhwanazi never contacted you after you briefed him. I think you spoke about a 3-hour meeting. You said not even once. Is that correct? You didn't talk again after that?
Not once.
All right. And then in paragraph 50 of your statement, you say you attempted to discuss the disbandment of the PKTT with Minister Mkhwanazi. That was, I would take it after the disbandment, somewhere in January.
Yes.
And I think you were discussing the Mary de Haas letter, I think, and he told you to stay out of the matter. Is that correct?
That could not be the words, but I was told that the dissolution will continue. Whether those letters are not there, and it's not going to discuss those letters, but the dissolution will continue.
All right, thank you. I just want to find out, you mentioned in your statement also that you appealed to the President on the 8th of January to stop the directive or hold the directive to dissolve the PKTT. Correct?
No, I couldn't instruct the President to
not
stop.
instruct, you spoke to him.
I couldn't tell him. Have you ever spoken to the President? I can imagine telling the President. I requested the President that if he could facilitate the meeting, maybe if he has a way that this disbandment is halted until 3 of us, him, Mkhwanazi, myself, we have a meeting, or he facilitate, because I felt, reading the letter, Honorable Member, I realized that the genesis, the starting point of Mkhwanazi was wrong about 2019. There is no 2019 in this thing. By Morane Commission, there is no commissioner. So I thought it could be a space of taking him through what really happened. So, and better understand, because the genesis is wrong. So he is not going to act correctly if your genesis is incorrect.
Thank you. So I'll put it to you that in your own statement, paragraph 50, the last sentence says, the minister informed me that I should stay out of the matter. 51, I also discussed the matter with the president at the ANC's January 18 celebration that took place in Kailicha. I asked the president to ask the minister to stop implementing the disbandment of the decision. That's what I asked you now, and you said...
Well, those are verbatim words, but the content, as you can listen, is the same. Maybe, and I'm not an English speaker anyway, but I think the content and context is the same. So you are dealing with verbatim, and you did not say, I must be verbatim. You should have said so.
No, sorry,
No,
sir, I'm
you should
reading
have-
your witness
You should
statement.
have said, quote yourself what you said on that day.
No, sir,
Then
I'm
it's
reading your
verbatim.
witness statement as what you gave it to us. That's what I've got in front of me.
And-
It's all I can rely on.
and I was
But
not-
it's fine. I respect your answer. I'm not arguing your answer. I'm just reading what I can read here.
That one is very clear. If you want me to be verbatim, say so. And you go and say, read at that particular place. I was not told to be verbatim. I was asked to give the context and the content. And I did so.
Thank you, sir.
Verbatim, yes.
Thank you, sir. But now you've consulted and attempted to consult with the minister and the president, is what your statement says. I ask the following question, and I say I ask this with respect. Is this not similar from ruling from the grave, as you put it earlier on?
I don't have a grave.
No, you said you don't rule from the grave. And I'm asking, is this what you were talking about?
I don't have a grave, so I can't rule from the grave.
Thank you. You've answered correctly.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. at least we are ending it on a lighter moment, Honorable Top. Honorable Sangon.
No, it's two, I think it's two more. Sorry, Honorable Chair, I didn't want to interrupt. There's just one issue. The IMC minutes that the minister speaks about. My understanding is that, I could be wrong, General, you'll correct me. IMC is almost like a cabinet committee or so. Would those minutes not be classified if you are offering to bring them? We just don't want this issue of documents being promised and we don't get them. So if I could just be...
I'll have to check if they are classified, but I don't remember them classified.
Okay.
Chair, is Mr. Hlophe or is Mr. who? Honorable member. I didn't get the...
It's Honorable Klopper.
Klopper.
Is K-L-O...
I thought it was Mr. Hlophe.
Is K-L-O...
Okay,
P-P-E-R.
sorry.
It's Klopper.
Okay, thanks.
Bangasit.
Oh, thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
You, yourself and Honorable James are going to run for the next 1 hour, 20 minutes.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Ndosi bese sibingelele mfowethu. And honorable members. I don't have a lot to ask, Ndosi, because you were very eloquent in your presentation of your evidence. And in fact, you helped some of us a great deal in terms of clarifying some of the areas that had remained gray after the presentation of evidence by some of the witnesses that had appeared before us here, before you came. But I just want to kick off by asking you, Ndosi, whether you were aware that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi was going to hold a press conference on the 6th of July, 2025.
No, I was not aware, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Ndosi. At that conference, General Mkhwanazi actually raised a number of issues. I'm not going to dwell on a number of them, but just a few. One of them is political interference that he actually raised. So I just want you to clarify the issue of the disbandment of the PKTT, whether it was, in your view, whether it was not a classical case of political interference in the operations of the police.
I'm sure you remember that General Mkhwanazi never said a word about me there. I'm sure you remember that General Mkhwanazi never said a word about me there in that conference. So the interference I would not be able to explain. But Chairperson, it's a situation that one has been trying to explain from all angles, without being the NCA that talks about all angles. So one has really tried all angles on this matter of political interference, and the person, nothing will change me as I'm sitting here to believe that the process was wrong to disband the PKTT. Whether that is illegal, legal gurus will have to explain. Whether that is unlawful, law gurus will have to explain. I just know one English word: it was wrong. Whether that is an interference, I don't know. Whether that is not doing the proper work, I don't know. But I believe, and that does not mean I'm correct, by the way, but I believe that it was wrong. It should have been done the way it came. That road that it came on of the president, the interministerial, the officials, the team itself, could have done so. One little thing that could have been done here, one, is some form of consultation and talking to somebody. Now I know that even Mkhwanazi and Masimula did not get the audience. I even know, let's say then is practical, is operational, I know. They did not get this letter that says you go and do it and report on the letter should have better said, you go and give me the report by the 20th of January of this PKTT, and from there I take the decision. I don't find the logic. So they must explain then it was interference, was the unlawful, illegal, and all, but I will stand by my words that it was wrong.
Yeah, I'm asking this question, Dosi, because the National Commissioner, when he appeared before us here, he was really very, adamant that that directive was actually a gross interference into his terrain as National Commissioner. So you having been the National Commissioner and also a Minister of Police, I think you are better placed to actually have a better understanding of exactly what was happening here. So that is in that context that I'm asking this kind of a question, Ndos.
Well, if it were me, as a National Commissioner receiving this letter, without really being arrogant and pompous about it, I would have said, stay on your lane, Minister. That can't happen. I would have said so.
Then
If I would really want to be modest, I would have said, can we have a discussion on the matter and privately tell him to stay on his lane or her lane?
Thank you, Ndosi. Arising from that, I'm just asking myself exactly just how do ministers of police resist the pressure that might be exerted on them by the political environment within which they operate to find themselves sometimes using their powers and using the powers that they wield over the operations of the police to actually unleash that against their political opponents. Could be their, inter-party opponents or intra-party, opponents.
Well, I hear you saying, how do the police ministers, which ministers?
Ministers of police, that could be Mr. B.H. Cele, it could be Minister Mkhwanazi, it could be Minister Mtetwa, but I'm just looking at the temptation of ministers wanting to use the police to actually settle political scores with their political opponents in other parties or within their own parties. And I'm saying this because Mkhwanazi, when he was here, he told us that the Minister of Police came at Mandeni during the by-election campaign and went to the police station and demanded to know why the candidate so-and-so of political X has not been arrested. So I'm coming from that context, Honorable Ndosi.
My problem is your generic statement of why ministers. There's been Mkhwanazi, there've been Mkhwanazi, there've been Chwete, there've been Cele, there've been Balule. We never went to the council and asked why are we not arrested. So it remains the question of the individual, Mkhwanazi, on that matter, rather than putting the generic statement that said police of the ministers, as if we have encountered such thing before. So let's talk about what happened exactly and relating it to the person that happened. I did hear that statement from Mkhwanazi. I really cannot. I really cannot tell the police that you go and arrest so and so. Even if there are things, you would ask why so and so is taking long, and they'll explain to say we're working on this. But you can't. Maybe the both worlds, Mkhwanazi, help me to understand the administration side of the police and the political side of the police. Maybe I really benefited out of that. As I've said to you, there are orders that I've refused to take as a national commissioner. And so I would not then give them as a minister when I know myself that how should you behave as a national commissioner. I think it's more of an experience and the understanding of environment rather than doing wrong things.
Thanks, Ndosi. And again, I was actually asking these questions in the context of this thing of political interference, because in the letter where the minister actually gave directive to dissolve the PKTT, the first point, the first issue that is discussing is an instruction not to fill the vacancies in the intelligence, component of the police. And that was an instruction from the minister not to fill those positions. And you had just told us that actually the person who employs is the existing structures within the police, hierarchy and the police structure, not the minister. But now the minister is coming in and is actually instructing the national commissioner to not employ anybody to continue to fill in those vacant posts.
Mkhwanazi, I'm very jealous to be national commissioner. It's a nice job. Being a minister, you are very limited. The real power of running the police, unless we say one day we need to revisit it, is with the national commissioner. You are limited to two words there, policy and directing. Commissioner said you will command, reorganize, and do everything. What you are talking about, that employing and not employing, as a minister, you run far from that thing. You are not going to tell, maybe let me tell you the secret here. There is this regulation of concurrence. I did not like it when Khumalo was made the head of intelligence by the National Commissioner. But it's a prerogative and his last word, because I thought he would be more concentrating when he's dealing with task team issues. But I can't win when it's very clear who appoints. It's very clear. So when you tell when and how and where, what area and all that. Mary, by the way, has serious problem with intelligence and Kumal. I suspect Mary again.
Okay, thanks, Dosi. General Mdluli, you told us that something very unique actually happened when General Mdluli was going to be, I don't know whether appointed or promoted.
Appointed.
There was a panel of ministers that actually interviewed him. And you said that was unprocedural. Again, is that not an example of political interference in the operations and the working of the police? Why did the National Commissioner not do the job? And you were the National Commissioner.
No,
by the way.
I was not a National Commissioner. I was not
sorry.
there.
Sorry about that.
He was employed June, I came in July. But there was an acting National Commissioner, I think General Williams. He was not part of that panel. And definitely the responsibilities of the National Commissioner, there was an acting National Commissioner who was not invited. Again, whether that's interference, I would say it is wrong. It does smell interference, but I'll end up with the word it was wrong.
Thank you, Ndosi. Can you share with us?
It doesn't smell Mkhwanazi. Smells.
Can you share with us what was his special role in the police establishment?
Who?
Mdluli.
Was the head of crime intelligence.
Oh, thank you.
That was his job, was the head of crime intelligence.
So why did you suspend him?
There would be two things, but this time he was being investigated and to be charged. I can't remember if he was charged, but was investigated for some matter that has taken place in East Rand. It looks like somebody died because was suspecting uthatha umuntu wakhe. And then somebody died, and then that was an issue. So with that investigation of the matter and all those kind of things, so there had to be suspension. That's why he was suspended.
And also, you shared with us that at some point you actually got an instruction to fire Lieutenant General Shabalala.
Yes.
Who was head of PSS.
Yes.
Where was that instruction coming from?
Come from the Minister and Deputy Minister of Police and said they were sent by the President. President was Zuma at the time.
Again, I want to cite that as one example of political interference. And you continue to tell us that there's this general whom you actually said was fired. Is it? Oh yeah, General Shabalala. I believe that it must have actually been connected with the use of Waterkloof Air Force Base by the Guptas. Was it not connected with that?
Sean Shabalala, may his soul rest in peace too, because he died. Looks like, and the story I heard is that he was too close to President Bheki, so he could not fit to the new presidency. And indeed, they were very, very close. Even at the funeral of Sean Shabalala, President Bheki attended. And there was that thing that his scene was too close to Mbeki, but he was also close to Mandela before they came, and so that should be reason. I know. I'm not guaranteeing that that's the only reason.
Then poor Brigadier Tau, why had he to be fired? And who actually dished out that kind of instruction?
The Mbeki was supposed to have gone, I guess, to France. When the announcement was made that he withdrew, he went and made the statement. And then the advanced team had gone. And then Tau was also the part of operations of the protection of president then. And he was in Algiers en route to Paris, and was instructed not to proceed, to come back. And himself, he was to be removed. Though he stayed a little bit of time, but I think he resigned himself and he joined AXA. Ended up working for AXA. Was one of the very good operational manager, Tau, and I know him because technically he trained me on techniques when we were in the bush in Angola.
Thank you, Ndosi. The establishment of the PKTT, can we look at that? You told us that the president at somewhere in Maritzburg visiting the family of a councillor who had actually been killed made an announcement that he was going to set up a team to actually deal with issues of violence, political killings in KwaZulu-Natal. And then he set up the IMC, which actually ended up setting up that task team. I want us to be clear here exactly what was that, because we had in one evidence that was led here early this week that it was the NPKTT. And Undosi says, let us drop the N and remain with PKTT. What exactly did the president actually establish?
I didn't say drop the N. I said I don't know it. I don't know the N. I didn't say drop it. If somebody puts the N, he knows it, let it be. But me, I don't know anything. The president says, as in these ministers, these ministries, you go and deal with the problem in KZN, was not even to say in particular in KZN, it was KZN, because if you say in particular in KZN, there would be other places. So there was no in particular, it was just the KZN dealing with it. I don't know, but then it has gone a little bit out of the province when it comes to Forte issues and a little bit of Gauteng. I don't know if N comes from there.
Yeah, the argument was very strong that this was a national task team. It was never actually intended to be a provincial one.
If the discussion had taken place, you know, Mkhwanazi, one thing that I've looked here, that most of the discussions that are taking place there, they would have been more relevant if they were discussing the IMC. That's my strong feeling I have, that there would have been more relevant discussions if they were discussed on the IMC. Poor IMC then was not given the opportunity to sort matters out.
Well, Ndosi, you were the chairperson most of the time of the IMC, which actually had the responsibility to brief or report to the president on the progress that PKTT was actually making. Your last report or the last meeting of the IMC was in September 2023. Why did you not call regular meetings after that, Ndosi? Because
We're working for elections. We're campaigning for elections. One need to see the PKK as we're in a campaign.
but the dust was actually the conflicts were high.
But Mkhwanazi, on the 7th of March 2024, the team did brief the president. PKTT. This is March now, 2024, just 2 months away from the election.
Then, Dosige, then taking from that, then how do you reconcile that? Because the reports that we have seen so far, written reports about the operations and the successes that the PKTT, were making, how do you reconcile that with the assertion in the letter of dissolution that the PKTT has in fact overstayed its welcome? Secondly, it was not adding any value to the general operations of the South African police. It was a total waste. How then do you reconcile these two? The success story of the operations of the PKTT and the assertion by the minister in his directive that this structure actually was not working.
No, now, Mkhwanazi, I'm sorry, you are crying at the wrong funeral now. You are literally crying at the wrong funeral. You should have asked that question before I came here. Because how do I reconcile something that does not exist? It does not exist to go and kill this KPT having not followed the procedures. It does not exist that it has no value. It does not exist that it did not do the job. It does not exist that it was not stopping the all those things don't exist. And you had an opportunity to ask that question. That's why I'm saying we are crying at the wrong funeral.
Ndosi, this is what was said under oath. That is why I'm concerned, because this was said to us under oath by no less a person than the Minister of Police of this country. So that is where my concern comes from. At any rate, we can continue.
Just Mkhwanazi.
Yes.
This team is established. That time, political personnel, leaders and councillors were dying every week. I would agree. I had Honorable Mathis saying was the ANC. Yes, the majority was the ANC because councillors, but people were dying every week. I'm telling you, every week. And councillors all gathered. I'm saying to you, councillors from Nongoma sleeping at Richards Bay, you know of Aginika Nongoma. And you know how far you drive to wake up every day there and work there. That thing subsided, no doubt about it. A lot of people, I don't have the figures, but I think there are more than 40 people that do life sentences. And it started from 2011 when there was nobody arrested. There are a lot of people that are doing between 10 and 73 years and all that. By the way, there is a long list of cases that are still investigated. There where other problem would be, if you shut, there is that term, what is that term, shut when? Immediately. So if you shut immediately, what do you do with all those that are investigated going forward and all that? I don't want to come to this allegation. I don't deny them of Matlala and the Big Five and all that. But I'm talking about the thing that is in front of us. Then it subsides. it doesn't get finished. Flares up. The last one, a big one, was the death of Councillor Mkhwanazi at Nongoma at the age of 75. Those people were arrested. That's why a little bit of stability. When you go to the country at the present moment, you go to eThekwini, the councillors there, they are guarded. They're not guarded because lions are going to eat them, those councillors. They are guarded because there is a fear that they'll be shot and killed. I'm told at this time, Honorable Matthews, that there are big two political organizations, ANC and IFP, that they are guarded. Which means, while there is some work done and seen, we are not there yet, not yet uhuru, for the things to be stabilized and say, Mr. President, you said you go to KZN and deal with that matter. Now we have dealt with this matter. Sorry that it took long time, but took long time and more money, but the mission accomplished. We go to the president, we say, Mr. President, there is instability in that province. Councillors are guarded. Councillors, they still run around the chase and other things. But the time is finished. I'm sure the president will say, I didn't know that I'm sending mad people there. So that's the context of this matter. And I want to argue, if these meetings were called, these things would have been debated and discussed and understood there.
Well, thanks, Ndosi. Although I'm also still namang pathekile nje kahle because the death of Councillor Duma wangale Engoloja still remain outstanding. It has actually not been resolved until now. A young man.
Several of them, and most of them still under investigation.
Yes, okay. The meeting of the 6th of December, Brigadier Kunene, in his statement here, believes that that meeting which they held in Mr.
Meeting
Matala's
6th of December.
on the 6th, it's an operation by the
the
police.
raid.
Yes.
Okay.
2024. They visited the house of Mr. Matlala. It was the 10 PKTT members which Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi had made available to the Gauteng police to assist them in the investigation of some high-profile cases. Then they went to meet Mr. Matlala in his house. And Brigadier Kunene believes that they touched a raw nerve by actually going there. Because after that, then Matlala met with Undos to actually looking for an advice. How is he going to handle this matter? Mkhwanazi, in Mr. Matlala's cell phone, which actually had been raided when found on him in prison now after he had been arrested, carries a conversation that took place between him and Mkhwanazi about the incident of the arrest of Mr. Matlala. Now, I'm trying to actually agree with you on the genesis, the chronology of events, which led to the directive on the 31st. And also answer your question, why? What is it that is in January? Everything in January and so on. Now, the National Commissioner then applied for leave on the 27th On the 28th, he's in Etiskawini with the minister at the funeral of a police officer. The minister does not say anything about the dissolution of PKTT. On Monday, the 30th of December, the National Commissioner goes on leave. On the 31st of December, at 5:20, a letter actually is delivered in the office of the National Commissioner. By the way, the acting National Commissioner at the time was the Lieutenant General Musikili. The letter is not delivered to Musikili. It's actually delivered to...
Msikiti.
Mo?
I know where Zulu is Msikiti. L is D in Sotho.
Oh, Msikili. Okay. Now, I'm actually, annotating all of these events in their chronological order to see that, because I believed that that meeting, I agree with Brigadier Kunene, that the meeting of the 6th at Mr. Matlala's, the raiding of Mr. Matlala's residence has a direct bearing on the directive of the 31st. Now I'm troubled by then the conversation of Mkhwanazi with Matlala, where Mkhwanazi is actually saying to Matlala, no, we must actually meet, get the minister. It's somewhere here. I'll get it. The minister must actually do something about this. Now, in your statement, Ndosi, in your conversation with Matlala, he also says something must be done about what actually happened in his residence. So there is this nexus when Mkhwanazi says the minister did what he did to disband the PKTT because he was actually protecting or preventing the PKTT to continue with what they had started on Mr. Matlala. What is your take on that, Ndosi?
It's complicated. Having said my take, Mbangazita, is what you did not mention. The report to Matlala from Mkhwanazi to say, look, enjoy the new year. That thing that has been troubling you has been removed. For me, that's a big one. To say, Ningam hooray, Happy New Year, that thing has been removed. And I wonder by that time, even Masimula did know. By what was the date of Mkhwanazi giving the message to Matlala to say 1st January?
In fact, it was on the 2nd of January.
2nd is really Happy New Year. My take on all what the story have said is there. That is a really Happy New Year. You go, eat and dance. Your troubles are gone. What are your troubles? Is a PKTT and this other GC, whatever it is, because I don't know it. For me, that report tells the story that this letter was expected, was high expectation for some people to report somewhere. That is into saying, Gondil. Say, go right. So that is my take on your statement, is a report thereafter. that was made to Matala by this almighty Mkhwanazi?
Ndosi, when you met Matlala, no Mkhwanazi, I don't know him. I know his father. You were told by Matlala that he had been approached to fund a project of someone who actually wanted to contest for the position of president or deputy of a political party. Were you aware that the same Matlala had actually been approached by Mkhwanazi to finance the well-being of the associates of the Minister of Police during the January 8th event here in Cape Town of the African National Congress, to a point where the same Mkhwanazi had actually organized a gala dinner where Lieutenant General Spear also was present. Did he tell you about that as well?
Yes, I knew that setting up or kicking the project of that will be funded of presidency. So they would have started with some funding of the project of his people that would go up there, come down there. Also, I think I was told about the accommodation that they would be using. It looks like Matala has a house here at, what is this place where people have houses? That nice place? Bay.
Camps Bay.
Yeah, looks like has a house. So I did hear Spear that he was at the Camps Bay. And I remember that I was told that there is, but yes, that was shared with me. I know the minister has denied that, so that it was a lie. What I didn't understand, that lie, whether it's Mkhwanazi or whether it's Matala or Cele, which could be a lie also, that is a lie that it didn't happen. So somewhere, somehow, there is a truth. I hope it will be found one day.
Lieutenant General Spear told us that Mr. Matlala was a known figure in the corridors of the headquarters of the police. He was a well-known chap over a period of time. And I presume even during your tenure, Ndosi, Matlala frequented the head office of the police. There was a time when Lieutenant General Spear was acting National Commissioner. Matlala visited him in his office in the company of his lawyers to actually demand why he has not been paid, something like that. Now, Ndosi is actually telling us that he only met Matlala in December through Umpungos. I don't know where your offices were, Ndosi, whether they were within the police headquarters or elsewhere. But Mr. Matlala, Lieutenant General Spear confirmed that Matlala was a well-known figure in the corridors of head office in Pretoria.
I didn't have the offices. I didn't. I remember that Honorable Member Kolapana will remember that we were supposed to move to, what is that building? Telkom Towers. and we never moved there. The last time I was in the sort of an office in Pretoria, honorable member, was before COVID. But after COVID, I literally work from the house. They've given me quite a big house there. It has a tennis court, it had a bar, a barless bar, because there was nothing, no alcohol. It had some form of a place where we met. It had an office and all. So every meeting of mine took place there. I never went back to the office. I went once to check if the offices were about the good furniture, and Minister Zikalala was under pressure. He made a statement that I'm coming on Monday. Because he was, as we came in Monday, we were told by the city of Tshwane to say, you dare go there, the thing is unsafe. Is one building, I think we paid 600 to buy it, honorable members, 600 million. But we have paid to fix it up to 2 billion. And there's nobody working on it. Even those that they went to work, like Istole and Masimula, they've been taken out to go back to where they come from. So I didn't have, and it's funny that doesn't make noise with the police. What made noise is that Cele signed, and they wanted a new building, only signed, and hey, lost his job. There are people who have bought the building, paid 2 billion, and the building is not working and is there. The towers is not working. So I didn't have the office.
Thanks, Ndosi. Professor Meriti House. You had been a national commissioner, Ndosi, and also a minister. What was his role, or I mean her role during your tenure? Was she actually also so active in actually dishing out instructions to both the national commissioner and the minister? Is this a new phenomenon that Meriti House should actually call the shots in the operations of the police?
Oh, Meriti House is a wonderful person, you know. I was not on the list, so I was very far on the list to go back to Parliament. I'm sure that was obvious that I'm not going to go back. Okay. Now, 2 days before I think of the announcement of cabinet, Meriti has on the, what is this, SAFM, he has an interview to say, I'm very glad that Cele won't come back. in radio. Even before the president is inaugurated, Mary knew I was not going to come back. Okay, fine, you're not going to, and the police are going to be proper and all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But when Mkhwanazi was eating fire on the 6th of July, and reading these screenshots and all that, Mary was one of the channels. Said, you know, I know all those screenshots, they are from Cele's phone. That's what she said. They're not from Mkhunu. Hayibo. They're from Cele. Mkhunu can't do that. It's Cele that is doing all those things. I know screenshots, but Mary was sure of it. So surely, Bagazita, Mary could not have written to me as a commissioner or as an executive authority. I had some workings with Mary before elections when there was a violence in Durban, in KZN, working with her and Professor Paulos Zulu. So where we would go and report, and they see, and you will remember that were terrible police, especially from KwaZulu. Those were, I'm telling you, those were killers. The guy called Spiwe Mkhwanazi, those were killers. So we would share things with Meriti. I don't know where it came about, this of Cele threatening taking the Cele to parliament because Cele goes with the mafias and all. I don't know where it came about. But I did not have the luxury of corresponding with Mary on both my work as a national commissioner and as a minister.
Well, thanks, Ndosi. My parting shot would not be a question, but perhaps just to provoke your thought, Ndosi, to the fact that people out there, this process actually has not helped to strengthen their confidence in the operations of the police. What is it, in your view, that can be done to restore the confidence and the trust of the people in the police? Because clearly, Rome is burning within our crime prevention, setup. What could be done? Thank you, Ndosi.
Mkhwanazi, I just said, I hope something could be done, but I don't think that the Rome is already in ashes. I think something could be rescued, but if I say I can sit here and tell 1, 2, 3 can be done, I'll be lying. It needs a lot of thought through. I meet a lot of police, even at the gym where I gym. I gym in 5 gyms because I don't want Nomvalo to know where I am. So I meet the police and they say things are bad and things are tough for all of them in the organization. It's a sad situation, no doubt about it.
Thank you so much, General. Thank you so much, Pangazita. Honorable James, your time ends at 27 minutes past. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Minister, a lot has been said here today. Many of the technical questions has been covered. I want to say to you and ask you, there's a saying that says, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Do you agree with me?
Indeed, I agree.
Do you agree with me, as things stands, SAPS cannot stand and serve with the infighting and the division?
My last statement, Honorable Member, said this is a sad situation.
It is indeed sad, sir.
It's a sad situation.
And there are 2 of such houses. It is SAPS, and it is that of the governing party, the ruling party of South Africa.
What's wrong with it?
You came here today, and I must say I've been shocked. Do you consider Minister Senzo your comrade or associate?
Okay, let me explain a little bit of a thing. Cele is not an ANC as an organization, as an individual. Mkhunu is an individual. So if Cele and Mkhunu, they don't see eye to eye, if they don't, it's got nothing to do with an ANC when it comes to that one. The question direct, he's my comrade.
I'm clear, thank you. I want to ask you, Minister, roughly how many times did you make contact directly with Kat Matlala?
You mean talking to him? I think it would be 4 times altogether.
4 times. How many times did he contact you? So you say you tried to contact him 4 times.
No. You mean personally?
Yes.
Yes, I met him at the hotel first time. We met at the house in Zimbabwe, and we met at the place in Pretoria. That's physical. That I've met him.
Okay. Help us understand what was so important on the 9th of May, where records reflect that you tried to contact Mr. Matlala close to 10 times, from 8 o'clock in the morning until I think past 11 in the evening. I think it was quite serious. Records reflect, and in the media we've seen that almost every hour you tried to reach out to him. What was this all about?
It's because he was going to be in Durban and we were going to meet. So finally, I'm told that he lost the phone on that particular day. That's why he could not answer.
But what was your reason for calling him every hour on the 9th of May?
I was checking him if he has arrived in Durban,
You were checking if he's around Durban.
because we're going to arrive and we're going to have a meeting.
Were you going to discuss anything specific on that day?
Yes.
What were you going to
He was
discuss with
going
him?
to brief me about the latest discussion on the matters of the project and what was said about me. Further discussing from this the screenshot that was said and about my own arrest.
You mentioned earlier on that it is okay for you to meet with him. You don't have to declare. You don't have to, ask for permission from anyone. I want to ask you, do you not find it worrying to meet with someone that has over 80 cases? You serve on the NEC. You are leader of this country. I still see you as a leader. And you said to us earlier on that you take information from him pertaining to SAPS. Is that not supposed to be directed to a certain unit within SAPS to gather information?
Chair, just before she moves to the next question. Minister, actually there is a story that IDEC has been investigating your calls to Matlala, and between March, and I can't remember which month, between March and July, you called him more than 250 times.
Sure.
There were 250 calls between the two of you from March to July. Is that correct?
No, I would not agree with that.
Thanks, Chair.
But it's also the story that we have exchanged the messages 100 times. Yeah. And zero. They said I've called many times, but we have exchanged messages 100 times. I don't exchange messages. So I'm a bit distracted. The question is, honorable member, well, I'm not sure about 80. I think that number will have to be checked. I think the cases that has been there are 18. I think so. But myself, I can't guarantee that. Matlala, when I met him, I did not know about these issues and his arrest, honorable member. He was, the information came up and out as we continue, arrested for these things and all. And I have considered that the eyes that I've looked at him then are completely different as looking at him now. But me not declaring yes, I don't declare anymore who do I meet, and I guess I would have declared to sleeping in his house because it's a free piece that the ethics says we must declare those things. Would you do the same things now that you know? No, I'll be more circumspect. Is that the word? I'll be more circumspect that I have that information now.
Thank you, Minister. I asked because you were very candid in your responses earlier on, And it was worrying when I heard you say, I took it, I slept there, I met with him, I can do whatever I want, when we look to you still sometimes as a leader.
No, I was answering, if it came with that arrogance, surely it came very, very bad. But I was answering on the question of being a minister and being a public representative, that there are things that you can't do, like doing things and not report.
Yeah.
Not just because I believe it's correct, I can do as I wish. Human beings are not allowed to do as they wish. They've got some limits to whether you're a minister or not. Hence, I come to this statement, Honorable Member, that says, knowing what I know now, I guess I would behave differently than the time when I didn't know anything.
Definitely. Thank you, Minister, because I'd like to believe that our actions are guided by our morals and our principles. And this is why I ask this question. It is concerning the amount of times that you called Kat Matlala, because I tell you, it is around the same time his contract was actually cancelled by Minister Senzo. And this is why I ask.
What do you mean by same time?
I think it was around about, I stand to be corrected, it was around about May, where Kat's contract was actually cancelled by the minister. So I was just wondering what the reason was for those many calls that you made to him. Was it maybe, and this is just in my opinion, this is just unpacking how things unfolded, was it maybe because you had heard something and you wanted to give him the heads up? I don't know. So this is why I asked you that question.
Well, definitely, I could not have any form of a help of cancelling and not cancelling. Definitely, I could not have come close to the minister to cancel or not cancel, so it was not going to help me on that one, even if I knew that it was going to be cancelled or cancelled. I'm very sure if it did not lose the phone, I would have phoned once. So this person is coming to Durban, you don't get that person, so you will try to phone until you get that person, because you know you were supposed to meet him. So that did not happen. That's a reason, not because it was frantic and something that was burning, especially when it comes to the cancelling. That is not for me. I don't come close to cancelling and nowhere that I was put in negotiating. And I can assure you, I could not have negotiated that with the minister. I could not.
Thank you, General. General, if this committee were to request to obtain cell phone records from your network, your service provider, would you be prepared to grant such consent
For
and
what?
support the gathering of this information?
For what?
So that we can determine actually, if you have absolutely nothing to hide, would you be okay with that, granting?
Have to be serious conditions of defining the information you want. You can't go to my phone and get any kind of information. If you determine, and there is a methodology to say, this is information we want, 205 for this information, not everything in my phone, that can't happen. But if you say you want information about Kat Matlala and all that, I'm fine, or any other. But it can't be blanket coming to my phone and getting anything in my phone.
So it's a no.
Yes, I'm simply saying, if you describe what information you want, including want information about Kat, that I'm fine. But you can't get my phone to get any other information that is in my phone that has got nothing to do with the ad hoc that is here. It can't be blanket. But you want this one about Matlala, get your 205 and carry it, I'm fine. But that you want to go through the photos and everything that is there,
Your few
it
ones.
can't happen. It just can't happen.
General, you earlier testified that you were aware of rumors, reports suggesting that General Sibia, and you know how I feel about this, that General Sibia runs with drug dealers. To the best of your recollection, Where did you first hear these allegations? And do you believe that there's any credibility to them? Because it is concerning, South Africa is burning, and we need to identify these drug cartels and who's linked to them.
Well, I agree. It's really concerning. And it's unfortunate that there is so much drugs that are coming in the country. Of late, there are even laboratories. They bring the machines and the raw material to be done in the country. I'm sure you're aware that quite several of them, those laboratories have been busted. It's highly concerning that a person that is given the duty to prevent and protect people is touched around that. I wish that it would be a lie, but I don't have the evidence that is a lie. I don't have an evidence that is true. But for the very fact that people talk about it, it is a highly concerning matter.
Sure, General. So you're saying that General Sibia, the second in charge, people are talking about the fact that he's embroiled with drug cartels, and you cannot prove that that is a lie, but that is going around. Did you report this to counterintelligence so that he can be investigated?
Who should report to counterintelligence?
Yourself, because it has been brought to your attention. It is very serious, sir. When allegations get made like this, we want to delve deeper into it and get to the truth.
Where is the counterintelligence?
Within SAPS.
I don't know counterintelligence.
Is counter not part that investigates?
It's part of it, but I don't come close to the counterintelligence. It's not my job to speak with intelligence and counterintelligence. My job is to speak to the National Commissioner about the matters. And National Commissioner. But that would be a real political interference when I go to the structures, counterintelligence, say, check this one, check this one, check this one. That would be interference.
Sir, I don't understand on which side you are, because earlier on you said you cannot interfere, and now you are saying you're supposed to go to the National Commissioner. You said earlier on that you're not accountable to anyone because you're an ordinary citizen in South Africa. So I'm saying, as a citizen, something like this gets brought to your attention, do you not report it to the police?
I thought you were talking to me as a minister at the time.
Irrespective.
That if honorable member, if I get something about you, the structure that I can go to is at the police station to open the case. Or if maybe the internal matter is to go to the National Commission. I can't be chasing units and divisions in the police. That will be the interference if you ask that. And indeed, National Commissioner would have known about these allegations, and he should have taken it forward. But it can't be me going to the counterintelligence, going to intelligence and all that as a minister. As a National Commissioner, I can do that. Otherwise, it would be a political interference. That's my point on the matter.
So, sir, you're telling me that the interest of South Africans is based on the title of a person and their jurisdiction?
It's based on law.
So only certain people are allowed to report and flag possible criminality and criminals operating within SAPS?
One thing that we're investigating here is a political interference. I'm telling you that if Cele goes to the counterintelligence and say, check Mrs. Mom Jacobs, that will be political interference. Mom James, I know you so much. I don't know why you talk. We have met a long time ago and many times, but for work. So, but I can't go and say intelligence and counterintelligence must look at you. I can't do that. That I would be doing exactly what we're fighting here for. Just imagine when politicians go to the intelligence and counterintelligence, how many times will go to be checked around and all that. It's not that because I don't want you to do it. It's because as the law, and the law must be followed. One thing that says is that ministers and politicians can't be investigators, and they can't instruct the law enforcement to do that and that unless they follow the structure. The person that I can go to, two places I can go to, as an ordinary, go and open the case at the local station. Second, as I'm in the organization, go to the National Commissioner to say, National Commissioner, there is such a matter about your members. Can you check on them?
So, two things here. General Sibia involved with drug cartels, it goes unreported, he goes uninvestigated. Another thing, General Sibia also allegedly involved in a false affidavit intended to implicate General Kamalo. That also just falls by the wayside and is not reported.
That was reported to Kumalo.
No, not to Kumalo, to open up an investigation against him, even if it's
Well,
just
Kumalo is a
internal.
cop. He should have opened the investigation. Cele reported it. He's not a cop. I can't open any investigation. But I've reported to the cop.
I want to ask you, you mentioned something, General, and you said that, you know, with the establishment of these task teams, there was also a task team that was established here in Cape Town where 200 members were deployed and staying at a hotel, and I believe that operation is still functional up until today. 200 members, 800 rand per night. Can you tell me what was the composition of that team?
There were 200 members from different. This one is a police, honorable member. Is ministerial, but set by commissioner at the time, and I think it was still. It was still stolen. So these are police. These are maybe let me take it from this way. The national government has put a lot of resources in this province when it comes to policing. So those were the members coming from the different parts of the country to come and work here, try to find the criminality, especially I think they were initially mentioned townships. I will remember Delft, I think Hanover Park was part of them, but there would be those townships. So to increase the capacity of fighting the murders that were here and all that. So there will be 200 for 2 months. And then they will be taken out back to their provinces and bring others. And they will come with the cars, anything around 50. There will be special forces people, most of them, they will be NIU, but there will be detectives, there will be analysts, there will be intelligence. That will be mixed, but it's not the multidisciplinary in terms of other departments, but multidisciplinary in terms of police themselves. And then happened 2018 until 2019. It started 2018 April, and as Operation Thunder ended May 2019, I think that must be about 25 months. But after that, there was.
Excuse me, General, I'm being distracted with the noise coming from the corner there, the back. Thank you.
And then COVID came. That changed to be Operation Lockdown, but is still fighting with this criminality. Then has continued under the new name Lockdown, but the same resources, starting from 2018 up to the day, honorable member.
So lockdown commenced when, General?
Operation Thunder starts April 2018. It ends the name May 2019, but operations continue, same operations, but under the name Operation Lockdown.
Yes, Jay? I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Chi. Time.
Kodwa kusemnandi kangaka. Still good to hear from you.
Are you saying time up?
The feeling is.
I'm not good with sign language. I'm not finished.
Can't you give her more time, please?
It's not me who allocates time, it's these honorable members.
Okay.
If we respect each other, we are also going to respect the time.
I'm sorry.
That's how it works, because the chair does not have to move around to members explaining why this one speaks for this amount of time and why I'm speaking for this amount of time. Before the start of questions, the chair makes an announcement that your time starts at this point and will run up to this point. Like now, the chair is announcing that tomorrow we're starting at 9 o'clock. The EFF and the PA are going to run from 9 o'clock to 20 minutes past 11.
EFF is leaving at 9 tomorrow.
And then we take a 10 minutes break. We come back at 11:30. The ANC will then run from 11:30 to 1:30. And then we break for 30 minutes. When we come back at 2, the MKP and the DA will take us to the finishing line at 4 o'clock. Thank you so much, honorable members. We have unfortunately come to the end of today's proceedings.
Long live the chair.
Chair, uyamazi Emala Costa man, Emala Costa man,
Long live the chair.
Emala.